ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಮೊದಲನೇದು ಎನ್ವೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಪರಿಸರದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದಿಗೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಅಂದರೆ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಹೋಪಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಡಿಪ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮೈಟ್ ಬಿ ಲೆಸ್ ಡಿಪ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಮಿಸಿಂಗ್ ಯು ದಟ್, ಬಟ್ ಪರಿಸರ ನೋಡಿ, ಈಗ ನಾವು ಎಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಲುಕ್ ಎಟ್ ದ ಲೇಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇಡೀ ವಿಶ್ವದಲ್ಲೇ ಈಗ polar caps are melting, sea levels are rising, biodiversity is undergoing serious damage. ಇಂಥ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲವೊಬ್ಬರು ಏನು ಹೇಳೋದು, ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ನೋಡಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿರೋ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯಂಗ್ಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರಲ್ಲ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಯಲಿ ವರಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವೆದರ್ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ಪ್ಲಾನೆಟ್ ಟು ಲಿವ್ ಆನ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಲೈಟ್ಲಿ. This can happen maybe in 10 years, it can happen in 20 years. That is how grave climate change effect is right now. ನಾವು ದೊಡ್ಡವರಿದ್ದೀವಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಜಾಗ. So we have to worry about what planet, what world we are leaving to that generation. And in this scenario, it becomes on the government to ensure that we are doing something to save the planet for the next generation. Are we doing it is the big question. So the policies have to be based on that. And if you look at all that is happening in Karnataka at least, okay, I'll start from, I'm going as per, please keep quiet. I'm going as per the report organization. So the first is noteworthy. The good news in this bleak scenario that came is one from Bengaluru. There is a plot of greenery around the cantonment railway station. All the civic organizations, NGOs, citizens of this city, along with activists from across the state, they fought very vocally for this piece of land. And the government eventually, the Environment Ministry declared it a biodiversity heritage site. So that we have to actually pat all of us have to pat the entire city on our back, give our city a big hand, and the state actually. So that is wonderful news coming. And then the other bits of good news that came is similar civic action demanding recovery of 711 acres of forest land in Kadugodi forest. It had a mixed result. About 120 acres is recovered. There's another what the minister promised is that all the land that has not yet been developed, that is where buildings have not yet been built on it, they will recover it immediately. So they immediately recovered 120 acres of farmland. But there's another 120 to 150 acres of wooded land where there are trees which are occupied by real estate majors. That he is not yet touched. So that is pending. And then of course there's about 500 acres of already developed. There is a container corporation, storage yard, and there are a lot of industries there which have to be evicted. So that's work in progress. Forest lands, apparently the total encroached forest lands is shocking. It's about 2 lakh plus acres, out of which 5,000 acres government in the last fiscal has claimed that they have recovered, which is good news. Then target this fiscal is about 10,000, but this is merely scratching the surface. That's not good enough. Then of course you have Bengaluru Climate Action Plan. All of you heard of the Bengaluru Climate Action Cell? So they've come out with a plan also. Unfortunately the problem is a lot of events are taking place, a lot of announcements are being made, a lot of advocacy is going on, but it has no statutory position. The plan has no statutory, it's not statutory. So therefore what happens, it doesn't impact legislation, it doesn't impact planning. So until we give it a statutory role, this is merely publicity. And obviously it's not even the government's program. It is being conducted, the entire activity is being conducted by outsourced NGOs. So the problem with doing this is, there's a lot of brand building happening, but the government doesn't build capacity. Tomorrow if this NGO goes out, the government has no capacity to fall back on. We don't have any. So basically if you ask me, it's a bit of education, but largely waste of time. The dangerous things, and this is what is depressing. When you talk about environment, there's no good news, very rarely. If you look at Sharavati, Varahi, pump storage, Etinhole project, Shetihali, doubling of railway line, Honna, okay, apart from these two, what is common about this? Located where? Yeah. If you look at the map of Karnataka, which part is green? That is the only part that is green. Rest of it is all brown. This is the wealth of Karnataka. And the government is doing everything within its means to destroy it. The rest of it is a desert actually, more or less. And that's happening, and there's a lot of forest diversion happening. I think close to 25,000 acres. This again. So there's a whole lot of projects which are impacting Western Ghats. The shameful thing is, the government bulldozes ahead on a project without conducting environment impact assessment, without doing relevant due process, without taking permissions. Then when there is a protest, they try to come back and fix it. So this, what does it amount to? It is lawlessness at the top, right? I mean, how do you expect the ordinary person on the street to follow traffic rules when the government is violating laws in its zone? That is not acceptable. So most of these projects, that is a problem. I won't go into specifics because each one of them will take 15 to half an hour. So I'm just broadly telling you what the problem with these are. Apart from that, most of these projects, especially the pump storage projects, basically it is not adding to any power generation. What power generation is happening, they're talking of storage. And to do that storage and reuse it, they're destroying forest land. Is that necessary? There are innumerable other options today. You have battery options. You have different kind of chemical battery options where you can store power and reuse it. You don't have to destroy pristine environment. You don't have to destroy forests. Doubling of railway line. Do you know what that railway line, there is no real need for, there's no passenger traffic demand over there. Do you know what that railway line expansion is for? Yeah, for what cargo? Coal. For coal. So basically, you're destroying nature to support another destructive activity called mining and coal. So, and you know, technically you don't require that also. If you have a single railway line, if you look at the number of trains passing on that line, you know the capacity for a railway line. You can have one train traveling every 3 minutes. That's the actual capacity that is fulfilled in Bombay. If you go and stand in Bombay, every 3 minutes you'll see a train going on every single line. Do we have that many trains traveling on that line? If you don't have it, all you have to do is every 1 or 2 kilometers give a crossover line and have automatic signaling. So there's serious lack of imagination and intelligence in these kind of projects. It's merely being done because of the engineer, what do you call that, contractors mafia, because you have to give projects to them. That is a sad problem. And then of course these port projects, they are damaging the environment very badly. It's the coastal buffer zones and all that. Environment, even livelihoods, these are all seriously impacted. Now, Bellary, there is a very disturbing trend now. The government has again started issuing licenses for mining. Have any of you visited Bellary? Have you seen the damage mining has done to that entire district? Do you want it to restart? Well, you should be telling the government, no? And then nuclear. The funny thing is, nuclear projects, 3 locations that were previously sanctioned have been cancelled because of public protests. And now the government wants to explore newer options. Solar parks, many of you might think again, see this is this imagination that solar parks, solar energy is good, right? But where do we put those solar panels? You need land. What land is available? Where do you have dry land? Yeah, but are those solar panels going on to dry lands? Most often you will find that agricultural land is converted to this. Is that good? Secondary environment impact, biodiversity impact. Right now the problem is a lot of money is pumped into this, especially with subsidies and all that supporting it. This is causing a serious damage to the environment. And the government is permitting mineral exploration in the Western Ghats, in Chikmagalur and all kinds of places. Again, the very places which we have to protect. So I'm sorry if that was depressing. Now let's see if this is any more positive or depressing. What is your vote on this? Is Bengaluru going to be positive or depressing? Okay. All right. So unfortunately I couldn't come up with the other three sections of whatever. We are straight away going into questionable because we didn't find any great good news. First thing is, what are the basic essentials for a city in terms of what do you need for the city to be?
Good roads, street lights, garbage segregation.
So those are governance issues, right? I won't expand. How much time do I have left? Oh, sorry. So overall, the basic expectation of a city's government is good planning and good governance, right? And in the planning domain, you'll find that you have to more or less confine to whatever the planning says, right? The laws, rules, etc. Now, these three are questionable because there are three announcements by the government of premium FAR, OZ exemption, that is occupancy certificate exemption, and converting Bikhata to Ekhata. By its headlines, it simply says there is a law, you violate it, we will make it okay. Is that acceptable? What will happen to the city if that happens? Okay, now the shocking part is this. Each of those laws says that to qualify for this, if you have to qualify to use one of these schemes, then you have to have complied with the laws. So where does that leave you? Can these schemes be used? Yeah, so the question is that. So what will it generate? I'll leave it to you. Lawlessness. The same thing when it comes. Now the other thing is where the laws are intact. Now, who has to approve layouts in Bangalore?
Government.
No, which part of the government?
BDA.
Yeah. So you are aware that without BDA approval you can't have a layout. How many layouts you see in these new areas? East. All are illegal. Okay. Then illegal buildings, who has to enforce against? Right now, have you seen the kind of illegal buildings coming up? Almost zero setbacks, double the FAR, triple the FAR, right? What will it cost? What impact will it have on the entire area? Everything is getting destroyed. So you go to Whitefield, now it is a slum. It was IT capital, now it is IT slum. That's what you call it. So why is this happening?
Money making.
No, but enforcement wise, who has to enforce these laws?
Government.
So is there enforcement happening? So that's the problem. Enforcement is completely missing. Now the problematic bits. Does Bengaluru have a master plan? When did we have one last? Yeah, okay. So we don't have a master plan. Government makes announcement after announcement. At least there have been 3 announcements this year about when the master plan will happen. Let's see when it will happen. The second thing is democracy. Have you had elections? Do we have ward committees?
No, we don't have.
Yeah. For a very long time we have not had it. That is a denial of what? Our right to be represented, right?
Kachari is struggling for many years.
Yeah. Then you have the garbage problem. Has it been solved? Are your streets clean? Okay. So I don't have to explain. So the dangerous bits are this. The government is undertaking a lot of legislation. Are they good or bad? So, how many of you are aware of the 74th Amendment? So that is a law which governs local governance and local planning. So under that, the planning authority is the MPC. Do we have an MPC? When was it supposed to have been set up? 1993. Okay. So that's 32, 33 years that we don't have a planning authority for the city. That's mandated by the constitution. Will planning happen with this kind of situation? What is the biggest problem in Bangalore? Unplanned development. 2 minutes. Okay. So while our mandated framework doesn't exist, we still have development happening, right? What kind of planning is this? Will it have a good impact? What was the green cover of Bengaluru in 1970? 70%. What is it today? You are extremely optimistic. What is it? 3%. Satellite images say it's 3%. I don't know how much it is on the ground. That is a net loss of how much green cover? Calculate. Again. 95%. That's very close. It's 97% to be precise. We have lost 97% of our green cover in the last 5 decades. 5 decades is, it has happened in front of your eyes, most of us, and most of your lifetime. In this period, we've lost 97% of our green cover and almost 95% of our wetlands. What are the wetlands? Lakes, then Rajkal, marshes, excellent, and Rajakalways, ponds, etc. Most of it has disappeared in this period because we actually don't have a master plan. We don't have one that's being enforced. Do you understand how important it is? Then you have a new legislation called the GBGA Act. You've heard of it, right? There are severe shortcomings on it, especially about the Greater Bengaluru Authority. The third tier of government has to be with the elected local corporations. GBA becomes an in-between layer. Is that constitution? Is that constitutional? No. Why? Especially so because it is not an elected body. It is appointees. So that is a huge problem with the constitution. Then you have BMLTA. You know what the BMLTA is? Land Transport Authority. You're supposed to have an authority which coordinates plans for the integrated plan for the city's mobility. Do we have it? Of course we do, on paper. Yeah. So since it's not there, Bengaluru has congestion, it's not getting solved. Then of course the land acquisition battle, somebody already covered it. Then there's a big problem. There's see, the government is doing so many legislations, right? There is one legislation that the government should actually do. What is that? You have an outdated Stage Carriage Act, which says that only the government monopoly can run bus services. Okay. Contract carriage. Okay. So this is a problematic legislation which needs amendment either at the state level or the national level. This is what the government should do. So this law was made in the 18th century, 19th century. It's already amended, only in the state. How old is it? 2 centuries. It's a 2 centuries old act. The British created it. Yeah. 1930s. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So now the problem is, in today's scenario where there's technology, there is all kinds of platforms, multiple ways mobility could be handled. An outdated act comes in the way. We need to open it up so that all the possibilities are explored. Last mile connects also, private operators cannot provide. You've seen these shared autos, minibuses, even those are not allowed. Therefore what happens? What do the people do? Exactly. Why do we have congestion?
Because of lots of vehicles.
No, everybody is driving a vehicle. So that's exactly what this says. Mobility is stuck in a time warp in Bangalore because of all these problems. One, the government itself is obsessed with mega projects, but the problem is it's obsessed with unplanned mega projects. Why? They are not part of the master plan. If it's not part of the master plan, it is not optimized. The interconnects are not there, all the modes are not considered. Therefore, you can't just draw a line and say we'll build a flyover from here to there. What will it do? It will shift the problem from here to there. After that, they have to go somewhere, right? Are you happy shifting the congestion from here till there? That is exactly the kind of projects. If you look at it, all the brand Bengaluru projects that were announced, this is the list. All of them have this problem. Tunnel, elevated corridors, double-decker flyovers. Then this is very problematic. Sanchara Yukta is they're building roads in the buffer zones of lakes and Rajakalways. The only piece that 3% of green cover Bengaluru has left is in these buffer zones. If that goes, we'll have zero green cover. Will you be happy with that? Then you have this tide act. It's a wasteful vanity project. White topping. Okay. So all of these are problematic because first it's not part of the master plan. In fact, there are court rulings which say that you cannot take up projects which are not part of the master plan. The state is, again, this is lawlessness at top. They're violating it. Then there is a problem of lack of vision. Why? You're worldwide. You go to Tokyo, Singapore, London, They all focus on public transport and mass transit, because you have to move people. When you exceed 10 million people, you can't depend on roads. Anybody who says depend on roads after that is crazy, because how much will you widen roads? How much more roads will you build? How many more vehicles can you allow? You can't. Singapore says they've set a limit. I think it's 2 lakh cars or something. Beyond that, Singapore says you can't buy. If you want to buy a car, you have to pay some 300% tax. On top of that, you have to get a quota to own the car. That is wise. I'll end it. I think this is the last slide. Yeah, this is just the last slide. I'll just quickly finish. So, if you look at all of these, suburban rail is low-hanging fruits. We already have the infrastructure. If you just put trains on it, you can start running trains within 2-3 months. Government doesn't explore it at all. So then, but they are doing another project by acquiring additional land. That is also not very wise. The metro, buses, if you see, all of these are delayed. Buses, we need at least 20,000, we only have 6,000 here. Government has zero focus on it. Very little money is required. But you know how much this is requiring? It actually, some estimates say it's almost 2 lakh crores. It will cost nothing to buy another 20,000 buses. Then poor infrastructure, you know, all of us are suffering with what? The favorite thing? Yeah. It is not rocket science to solve it. It just requires warranty from each of the people who are installing it. Government doesn't want to enforce. Then the last thing is environment. Now, especially the BC, the Bengaluru Environment, that report says we have to protect all our wetlands. The KTCD amendment bill and the recent UDD circular, there's a notification. Both of them are attacking the buffer zones of lakes and Rajkalways. What it will do? But here the problem is this. This will lead to destruction not only in Bengaluru. It will affect the 45,000 lakes in Karnataka. It will affect the buffer zones, almost 11 crore trees. It will affect the agricultural. See, more than half of Karnataka depend on the lakes for agriculture. It will affect our food production. It will affect our livelihoods. It will affect the economy of the state. And have you heard anybody talking about this? That's the problem. If you don't start talking about it, the entire state will collapse. Then the World Bank has also given a loan. I don't remember the exact amount, 6,000 crores, to protect the same wetlands. The government has told the World Bank will protect the lake buffers, Rajkalways and the wetlands, and they have taken 6,000 crores, and in this amendment they are getting rid of it. Are you happy with it?
No.
And then the government is also announcing a lot of projects. Have you heard of an environment impact assessment for each of these projects? Social impact assessment study, public consultation.
All may be papers, sir.
No, it is not being done at all. If it is being done on paper, at least that's okay. See, all these projects, none of this due process is being followed. So with that, I'll end it. I'm sorry if it is too depressing, but you are the people who can change it. Yes,
Thank you, Sandeep. We now come to a joint presentation.